Think about the last time you sat quietly. No phone, no television, no news, no notifications. Just you and your thoughts for 10 uninterrupted minutes. For most people over 60, that moment is harder to recall than they would like to admit. Something has changed in the last decade, and it is not just a generational habit. It is a biological problem, one that a major review of 71 studies involving nearly 100,000 people, published by the American Psychological Association in 2025, has now documented with alarming clarity. Heavy use of short-form video and compulsive scrolling is directly associated with measurable cognitive decline, reduced memory performance, increased anxiety, and accelerated brain aging in adults of all ages, including people over 60. Today I want to talk about something that most health channels for our age group are still afraid to say out loud. The way most of us are using our phones every day is quietly damaging the brain. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently, cumulatively, and in ways that look remarkably similar to the early stages of cognitive decline and are sometimes mistaken for it. I am going to explain exactly what is happening in the brain when we scroll. I am going to show you what the science says about which specific habits are most harmful. And then I am going to give you a practical, realistic plan to protect your cognitive health. Not by giving up your phone entirely, because that is neither realistic nor necessary, but by using it in a way that works with your brain rather than against it. My name is Dr. Elena, and every week I bring you practical, science-based information on cognitive health and memory for people over 60. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's talk about one of the most important topics I have covered on this channel. Before I explain what is going wrong, I want to give you a clear picture of what the brain needs in order to stay sharp, because understanding what is being lost makes the problem much easier to see. The human brain maintains its cognitive health through 3 essential processes. The first is deep, focused attention, the ability to concentrate on one thing for an extended period, which is what allows the brain to form strong, lasting memories. The second is mental rest, periods of quiet, unstimulated reflection during which the brain consolidates experiences, processes emotions, and makes meaning from the information it has absorbed. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network, the brain's internal processing system that activates precisely when external stimulation stops. The third is novelty, genuine, demanding cognitive challenge that forces the brain to form new neural connections and maintain cognitive reserve. Compulsive phone use disrupts all 3 of these processes simultaneously, and that combination is what makes it uniquely damaging for the aging brain. Let me explain what happens neurologically when you pick up your phone and begin scrolling through a feed of short videos, news headlines, or social media posts. Each new piece of content triggers a small release of dopamine, the brain's reward neurotransmitter. Dopamine is not inherently harmful. It is the same molecule released when you learn something interesting, accomplish a goal, or connect meaningfully with another person. But when dopamine is triggered by rapid, passive, low-effort content consumption, one short video after another, one headline after another, the brain begins to recalibrate its reward system. It starts to require more stimulation to feel the same level of engagement, and it becomes increasingly intolerant of the quiet, unstimulated states that are essential for memory consolidation and cognitive health. The result is what researchers now call attentional fragmentation. The brain loses its ability to sustain deep focus because it has been trained to expect a new stimulus every few seconds. Studies have found that heavy, short-form video users show measurably shorter attention spans, reduced working memory capacity, and greater difficulty holding a single thought in mind without distraction, all of which are also the early signs of age-related cognitive decline. The brain cannot always tell the difference between decline that comes from aging and decline that comes from disuse and overstimulation. In both cases, the neural pathways weaken from lack of proper exercise. There is also the sleep dimension, which we cannot ignore. Many people over 60 use their phones in the hour or two before bed, checking messages, watching short videos, reading news. As we discussed in our sleep video, the blue light emitted by phone screens suppresses melatonin production, delaying the onset of deep sleep. But beyond the light, the content itself is a problem. Stimulating, emotionally activating content, whether it is disturbing news, social drama, or even exciting entertainment, keeps the nervous system in a state of arousal that is incompatible with the deep sleep the brain needs to clean itself, consolidate memories, and maintain cognitive health. One study found that people who used their phones for more than 30 minutes in bed had measurably worse memory consolidation the following day compared to those who stopped screen use an hour before sleep. And then there is what researchers call the displacement effect. Every hour spent scrolling is an hour not spent reading, having real conversations, learning something new, exercising, or engaging in the kind of meaningful activity that actively builds cognitive reserve. The phone does not just cause direct neurological harm. It quietly displaces the habits that protect the brain, and that loss compounds over months and years in ways that are very difficult to reverse. Now, I want to be clear about something important. Not all phone use is equally harmful. This is not about guilt. It is about specificity. The research is very clear on which patterns cause the most damage. Compulsive scrolling, the kind where you pick up the phone without a clear intention and keep going past the point where you want to stop, is the most harmful pattern identified in the literature. This compulsive quality, not the total hours spent, showed the strongest association with cognitive decline in the 71 study review I mentioned. Short-form video content in particular, videos under 60 seconds, trains the brain toward the shortest possible attention cycles and produces the most pronounced attentional fragmentation over time. Using the phone in bed is harmful both for sleep and for the quality of memory consolidation during the night. And using the phone as a way to manage boredom, loneliness, or anxiety creates a habit loop that is very difficult to break. and that over time prevents the brain from developing the natural tolerance for quiet that is essential for reflective thought. By contrast, using the phone to make a video call with a grandchild, to read a long-form article, to follow a structured online course, or to listen to a podcast on an interesting topic, these are forms of phone use that can actually support cognitive health. The difference is intention, depth, and the degree to which the activity demands genuine mental engagement. Here is what you can do. 7 practical changes that the research supports, that are realistic for daily life, and that together make a meaningful difference. The first is to create a no-phone morning window. The first 30 to 60 minutes after waking are among the most cognitively valuable of the day. The brain emerges from sleep in a state that is particularly receptive to reflection, planning, and meaningful thought. Using that window for scrolling short videos or reading alarming news immediately floods the brain with dopamine spikes and stress hormones, disrupting the very cognitive state that could be most productive. Use that time for something that nourishes the brain instead. A quiet cup of coffee, a short walk, a few minutes of reading, or simply sitting with your thoughts. The second is to set a hard stop 60 minutes before bed. This is one of the single most impactful changes you can make for both sleep quality and memory consolidation. Replace the phone with reading, gentle music, a brief conversation, or any other activity that allows the nervous system to decelerate naturally towards sleep. The third is to remove short video apps or aggressively restrict them. If applications like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok are on your phone, the algorithm is designed to make you scroll compulsively. This is not a personal weakness. It is by design. Removing these applications or placing strict time limits on them through your phone's screen time settings is one of the most direct ways to interrupt the compulsive loop. The fourth is to replace passive scrolling with active reading. Reading long-form content, a news article read in full, a chapter of a book, an essay on a topic you find interesting, exercises the brain in the opposite way from scrolling. It requires sustained attention, vocabulary retrieval, comprehension, and the ability to hold multiple ideas in mind simultaneously. Even 20 minutes of genuine reading per day produces measurable cognitive benefits over time that passive media consumption cannot replicate. The fifth is to use your phone with intention rather than habit. Before you pick up your phone, ask yourself a single question. What am I picking it up for? If you have a clear, specific answer, I want to call my daughter. I want to read that article I saved. I want to check the weather. Proceed. If the honest answer is, I am bored, or I am not sure, put it down. This single habit, practiced consistently, dramatically reduces compulsive use and breaks the automatic quality that makes scrolling so neurologically damaging. The sixth is to protect at least 1 hour per day that is completely phone-free and filled with something that genuinely engages your mind. A walk without headphones, a conversation with someone you care about, a hobby that requires your hands and your focus, gardening, cooking something new, playing cards, doing a puzzle. The brain needs genuine cognitive rest, not the false rest of passive scrolling, to consolidate and restore itself. The seventh is to be honest about how much time you are actually spending. Most people significantly underestimate their daily phone use. Your phone's built-in screen time tracking will show you the real number. Looking at it once, without judgment, is often the most powerful motivator for change, because the gap between what people believe they use and what they actually use tends to be striking. Let me bring it all together. The science is clear. Compulsive scrolling, heavy short-form video use, and phone use close to bedtime are all associated with measurable cognitive decline, reduced attention, impaired memory consolidation, increased anxiety, and a brain that ages faster than it needs to. The damage is not dramatic. It accumulates quietly over months and years in the same neural pathways that aging already places under pressure. The good news is that the brain is responsive. Changing how you use your phone, not eliminating it, but using it with intention, begins to restore attentional capacity and protect cognitive health within weeks of making the change. 7 things you can start today. Create a no-phone morning window. Stop screens 60 minutes before bed. Remove or restrict short video applications. Replace passive scrolling with active reading. Use your phone with intention rather than habit. Protect 1 phone-free hour every day for genuine mental engagement. And check your real screen time data honestly, because what we measure, we can change. Your brain built its strength over 60 years of real experience, real relationships, and real learning. It deserves to be used, not scrolled away. If this video made you think differently about your daily habits, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel for a new video every week on cognitive health and memory after 60. And leave me a comment. How many hours a day do you think you spend on your phone? And how does that compare to what you would like it to be? I read every single comment. See you in the next video.